Welcome back to Central Valley Real Estate and Home Improvement Show, where we talk about your home, how to take care of your home, how to buy a home, how to sell a home, and generally just talk about the real estate market. We bring in experts to help us understand these things, and today we have an expert, Don Scordino. Sorry, Don Scordino, right. An expert. He's a local expert on real estate. He's a veteran, been at this for many, many years. Can you say how long?
Well, I could, but everybody's going to think I'm old. But I'll be coming up on my 49th year pretty soon.
49 years in real estate.
All here in the Central Valley area.
Yeah. You've seen a lot of changes.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we've asked you to come in today and talk about the subject of how cooperation benefits the buyers and the sellers.
Right. It's been in the news a lot lately about how, a buyer's agent and a seller's agent, how can they work together? Well, and I thought I would like to come here today and say how that really benefits the buyer and the seller at the same time. And it's called the spirit of cooperation. Something that maybe we all wish that Congress had more of, or other entities. But basically, a buyer's agent works with the buyer and maybe shows them anywhere from 5 to 20, even 50 homes.
Yeah. Helps
them pick it out. Many times that I know when I'm helping a buyer, many times I'm the father saying, now, are you sure that this is going to be big enough? Or are you sure you can handle the payment? But just to make the conversation. In fact, here's a good one. Sometimes you can tell that husband and wife aren't liking the same home at the same time. So sometimes I'll slow down one person so that the other one can catch up to that person. So that's part of the service that we provide to a buyer. And when we cooperate with other real estate professionals in the industry, we're getting an inventory because no one agent is going to probably have just the right home and all those listings. So it gives the buyer more of an inventory to choose from. And then with sellers, we help them in preparing the home. This might surprise some people, but when I make my first appointment with a seller, they think, I'm going out there with the paperwork and the contract. It's usually a couple, 3 months before they're ready.
Before they're even ready.
Sure, especially today when so many of the sellers are moving because maybe they're moving into a retirement home. And they've got 30 years worth of things in the house and pictures and knickknacks. So, it takes time to sort through all that, and having the patience to work with them and guide them on how much they need to get rid of before they put it on the market is really important.
Sometimes it's the first time they've sold a house.
Right.
And along comes Don, who's done hundreds or even thousands. So you can just see the house and say,
yeah,
you need to do this and this.
And even if they sold a home 10 years ago, it was a different market.
Yeah.
20 years ago was a different market. Sometimes I have to remember that, just because this happened 20 years ago for me doesn't mean that's the way it's going to work now. So we have to stay up with the new market.
Things have changed.
Oh, boy, they sure have.
Yeah.
And technology is a big change because like I said, I've done it for 49 years, and back then we had a book, and that's where our inventory was. There, I think the biggest technology we had was a pager, and that was it.
You had a 1 or 2 page contract.
Yeah.
That's what, 10 or 11?
You're reminding me of the good old days now, because now there's 50 pages in an offer.
Some people don't realize is there's an importance about disclosures now.
Oh, yeah.
And they could really get tripped up if they want to do it themselves or something like that.
Right. And a question that's asked of me quite a bit from a seller is, do I need to disclose, let's say, that the dishwasher leaked last year, even though I fixed it? It's like, probably a good idea to do it because there is that little water stain on the cabinet. So This way they know what it was from and that you repaired it.
Yeah. Easier to get it out there.
Yeah.
Because you're protected. If you told them, then there's no surprises.
Correct. Yeah. And that's part of the job of your real estate professional, whether you're on the buyer or the seller, is to be protected once escrow closes, that everybody knew what was in the transaction. You're not selling a perfect home. No home is perfect. They all have their flaws or their scratches. But let the buyer know. So the buyer can say, you know, I'm more happy with the location of that home than with the bad electrical outlet.
Yeah.
So, because that electrical outlet can easily be changed.
Yep.
And by the way, should be.
Should be anyway, yeah. What? How many of these realtors are out there?
Here in the Fresno Association of Realtors, there's about 4,000 realtors. There's becoming an influx of out-of-town realtors. And, of course, be careful with that if you're a buyer or a seller, because local expertise is really important.
Especially Fresno, especially the Valley.
Yeah, we're different. My sister from San Francisco wanted me to help. I would know nothing about the San Francisco market. So I told her, let me find a friend that'll help you.
Whole different kind of moisture, whole different kind of weather in San Francisco than here. And we have our own special things here.
Right. Well, and then there's location values that I wouldn't know about and that they wouldn't know about here.
Very good. I don't want to call anybody unscrupulous, but you see more and more advertisements, and the realtor isn't here, but they kind of make it look like they are.
Yeah, and keep this in mind. You know, I heard somebody say, hey, all the pictures are on the internet. Why do you need a realtor? And that's because those pictures are an advertisement. They're not a disclosure.
Right.
So that's why you need a good professional to walk through the home with you, not just looking for the advertisement, but the disclosure.
Disclosure, right.
Yeah.
So both sides need a realtor then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But here's the beauty, and this is what I wanted to point out today. With that spirit of cooperation, the sharing of information between the seller's agent and the buyer's agent, sharing the compensation, it should all work. And, you know, speaking of compensation, this summer our rules are going to change, and now buyers are going to have to sign what's called a buyer representation agreement. This way people understand that this is how it works. Although I really don't know how anybody could have confused how it works.
Right.
There was that lawsuit back in Missouri, and I don't know what forms they use or how they practice in Missouri, but here in California, all on page 1 of the listing contract, there are blanks to fill out for the price, the total commission paid, and then also how much you're going to share with the other agent.
The other agent, right.
So, and I emphasize the word blanks because some people say, oh, it was a standard 6% fee. No,
Doesn't say that anywhere, does it?
No, in fact, in bold print, by compensation to broker, it says the amount or rate of real estate commissions is not fixed by law. They're set by each broker, and they're negotiable.
Yep.
So, so the key point is, if it was fixed, we wouldn't have a blank to fill out. But we do have blanks to fill out, so that tells me it's negotiable.
So is it going to be changed? Is there going to be a change in the contract?
There probably will be, although maybe not too much, because I brought a listing contract from 4 years earlier.
Yeah.
And it's basically the same
Almost the
setup.
same, yeah.
So this has been a regular practice for years and years here in California. What they did in Missouri, I don't know.
Yeah, they must have been doing something. Now, I always think of it like this. One person brings the money, the buyer. It's usually not even their money, it's the bank. So you take that money, $300,000, say they drop it in the pot, and then the seller drops his deed in the pot, and then they split it up, and some
Right.
goes to the agents. But it's not like there's only one pot of money coming in, and all the compensation goes out of that. You can say, well, the buyer put in all the money, or the seller put in the money. It's just the same money.
Yeah, yeah. And here's what I think is the good news for buyers, because when this ruling came out last month, it was scary for buyers. 80% of the buyers, because if you were a cash buyer, no problem. You can pay for the house and then pay for your agent if it was all cash. But if you're financing and you had just enough money for your down payment,
And now they say now you have to pay the agent extra.
right, unless the seller will contribute, which is how they've done for years and years.
That's how it's
actually over 100 years, even before me
Yeah.
or you.
So it'll probably be about the same, but maybe more disclosure, more understanding.
I think it'll be a lot the same. In fact, just this morning, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who are the two big lending giants in America, they came out saying that they're not going to change. That they're going to continue to allow the seller to pay the buyer commissions.
Buyer commission.
So a buyer can go to a seller and, as part of their offer, say, if you pay my agent X amount of dollars, then I'll buy your home.
Right. Now, I always looked at it like this: is if you're buying a home, you should use an agent because you're not paying any commission. And if you're a seller, you should use an agent because you have this complex contract and you have all the disclosures now. When you started, was there even a disclosure form?
No, there weren't.
Yeah, and now you have, 10 or 15 of them?
Yeah. That's all?
I don't know. You're the expert.
I'll bet it's more than that now.
So like we were saying earlier, you sell your house, then it rains, and water drips in. The buyer's going to come looking for some compensation.
Oh, yeah.
So if your roof leaks at all, why not just say it? Just disclose it.
And here's the benefit of disclosures. I had one time where the seller disclosed to the buyer in writing that it's very important to keep the rain gutter clear of leaves, otherwise the back patio will flood. Well, sure enough, 6 months later, the back patio flooded.
Yeah.
Buyer was upset. We went out there and looked at it and looked at the disclosures, and we saw leaves and branches sticking out. And that totally diffused the buyer.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the buyer wasn't upset. He was probably upset at himself for not cleaning the rain gutters.
Very good. We're going to run out of time. Any other thoughts for our viewers?
Just that, get out there and get yourself a home, because all numbers aside, statistics aside, interest rates aside, nothing beats the stability that home ownership gives, along with the pride of ownership that comes with it.
Right. I always say this: there's no way for just regular old guys like you and me to build wealth, because most of our paycheck goes to the house, pay the mortgage or the rent, whatever it is.
And taxes.
Yeah, and taxes. But when
Don't forget yesterday.
When we get to the end of retirement time, we built this wealth in this house. Yeah. Anyway,
Right.
Don Scordino's our expert today. We appreciate you coming by and filling us in. And we'll be back with more on real estate right after this.